Hello everyone, welcome to Crypkit Fund tutorial. This is Pavel from Crypkit team, and today I want to explain your first day Crypkit Fund checklist, meaning what you should do on your first day for your Crypkit Fund tool to work correctly. So we are getting a lot of questions about, hey, how do I add investors? Where do I add deposits? How are my series of shares created? What is happening on the background in the system? How do I track my assets? And all these kind of starting questions. So today I will show you everything that you need to do on the day one so that everything works correctly. So let's start with this presentation here. And I will also then demonstrate everything in our live demo on the Crypkit Fund after the presentation. So if you want it to work on the day one, you should do these things. You should start in the morning, so you have time to enter all the data and to avoid daily close in the system with incomplete data. This is absolutely critical, like it will take you some time to connect exchanges, fill in all the settings, insert all the deposits. So plan this well and expect that it will take some time so that everything is correctly in the system before you go to sleep. So you should fill in all the settings in your Crypkit Fund product. I will show this in a live demo in a moment. You should connect all exchanges and wallets, and then data will be gathered in about just 1 hour, and then it will be in the real time updating itself. So everything is automated in Crypkit, but for the first connect, you should allow some time for the system to gather your data. And lastly, you enter all investors and add their deposits. Now, when all of this is done, the last step you should do is to make sure that deposits you entered equal the assets in the system. So let me demonstrate this on the example. So let's say you start your fund, you have 3 investors, they give you 100K, 200K, 400K to manage. You create the investor accounts for all these LPs, you add their deposits, so the total deposits in your fund now equal 700K. This is the information that Crypkit needs to know by you inserting these data. So you have to do that, and I will show you in the system how to do it. And importantly, like after you connect your wallets and you connect your exchanges via APIs and potentially insert some manual entries, if you, for example, have money in the bank or have assets somewhere where Crypkit cannot read them. A good example of them would be some of the DeFi platforms, which I will also talk about. Then after you insert everything, your assets should be 700K as well on the day one, so that everything can start correctly. So before your first close of day, before you're done on your first day, make sure that your deposits in the system equal assets. That's absolutely critical. Because if you, for example, forgot to insert the deposit of the third investor, then system would think that investors only gave you 300K, and now because your assets are 700K as tracked by Crypkit automatically from the wallets and exchanges and based on the manual entries you created, the system would suddenly think that you already have gain or positive performance of the fund of 400K. And then system could charge the fees and everything would be wrong. So please make sure that you always give our systems the right data, because then things will not make sense and you will think there are bugs, but chances are it might be just some wrong setting. Either you forget an investor or you didn't track an exchange, or you forget to add your money in the bank into manual entry or something. So this is super important that system gets all the data inserted correctly by you. Crypkit is not working telepathically. It's a system that works based on the coded rule set. It's amazing. It automates everything, but you need to give it the right data in the beginning. Now these are just two screenshots. Deposits equals assets. Now already thinking in system language. So deposits you insert here on the client tab, and assets you insert here on the portfolio tab. But I think this is already a good time to move to the live demo where I can just demonstrate all the steps from the beginning. So I said fill all settings, connect all exchanges and wallets, enter all investors and the deposits, and then check the deposits equal assets. Simple. Let me demonstrate it in the Crypkit Fund live demo. So I am here in the Silmarillion demo fund managed by Gloom. Hello. And let me go to settings fund. Here you will choose your name of the fund. You should choose base currency, so your accounting currency. You should choose your time zone. This is quite important because system works with the close of date valuation rates. So for example, your assets under management or net asset value at the end of today will be calculated based on midnight of your time. And it's also important that your investors understand that you operate, say, in the Central European time zone or like some United States time zone. And this is the cutoff time for close of date valuations, based on which you also charge fees, based on which the investors will see their daily values of the portfolio. So it's actually a critical setting. Second very important setting is the calculation method. I strongly recommend a series method, meaning that your fund will use series of shares accounting, which I also explain separately in a deep dive tutorial about how the series method works. You can check it out. The next setting is the valuation method, meaning from which source will Crypkit pull the valuation rates. For example, what's the price of Bitcoin in your base currency? What's the price of some other token? CoinGecko is the best price feed. I recommend you choose that. You could choose other valuation methods if you have a good reason for it. And then default series price, that's the starting value of one share. So for example, if investor gives you 50K to manage, you would issue him 50 shares worth 1,000 each. And secondly, you should also set your fees. So you can click this add fee button and say performance fee, let's say it's 20%. Here you choose the first date when this will be charged. So for example, I will choose here end of June, and then I will look at the performance fees monthly. So at every end of month, the system will look if there are gains, so they could charge the fees. And the performance fees, I want to be with high watermark, so I click high watermark on. And priority one means that at the end of the month, this fee will be charged first. This is also a recommended setting for the performance fee. So I will hit create, and the fee will show up in here. So I have some fee already set in here. In the same way, I will set my administration fee, which is a priority too. So for example, at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, this fee will charge after the participation fee is charged. In this demo, we have 2% annually as an administration fee, and we charge the fees quarterly. So there's like a quarterly accrual. And also in this demo, the performance fees are charged quarterly. It's a good idea to have this gradual period, meaning how frequently you charge the fees aligned. But you could also, for example, charge performance fee every month if the portfolio values are above high water mark, and only do accrual for your annual 2% admin fee every quarter. It's fine. It's really up to you. You can see you have really, you could even charge the fees daily. So once your data are in the database, you can really tell system how to charge the fees. And that's it in here in the settings. If you have all these fund settings added, you should be fine. Then you can also give admin rights to your colleagues. So you can see the Gloom added 3 other admins in this fund. So Sauron the Dark King, Balin son of Fundin, and Frodo Baggins. And they have respective rights. So Crypkit is modular. So everything here on the left, all these sections are a module, and you can choose if the admin can have access, meaning they can read this respective section, or they can also write and make changes in these sections. So Frodo here would be my colleague or my employee, so he can change exchanges, he can change wallets, so we can connect a new exchange or add a new wallet. He could also be my investor relationship person, so he will be able to work in the CRM, meaning add new investors and enter deposits. And let's say Balin is my auditor or accountant, so I want him to see everything and be able to export all the data, but I don't want him to make any changes. So that's the admin's setting fee. And here in the general, it's at the moment just the tagging, which is relevant for exchanges and wallets. And that's really it in the settings. So the second step you want to do is you want to add all the assets. So that means wallets and the DEXs, exchanges, and manual entries. So let me just click on the wallets and the DEXs. When you come here for the first time, obviously this will be empty. Here I already connected some Ethereum addresses. So you see I'm staking something on Kyber from my cold wallet, and I have some other addresses added in here. So I have some Bitcoin wallets in the custody. For you, you will simply click here to top right, add wallet or DEX, and you will name it. Say it's my cold wallet, and you choose a blockchain. Then you insert the address in here. You can also load all your history. That's quite useful. So let's say you started your fund on 1st August. Just click it here. You can tag it, and you can add some nodes, and then you hit create, and it will be connected. In the same fashion, you just connect your exchanges. So here you can see I already have Kraken connected. You will have it empty. You will click here on the top right, add exchange. You will again name it, choose the exchange, Crypkit is supporting more than 100 exchanges, so all the mainstream exchanges will be there. You will add your API key, secret key. Very important, only add the read-only access rights to Crypkit. We don't want any active keys for security reasons. Then you will hit create, the exchange will show up, and the data will be automatically tracked by Crypkit to your portfolios. Lastly, you should create manual entries if there are any other assets in your fund that are not already automatically tracked. The typical example would be euros in the bank. Say you still have some money in the bank, you just create a manual entry. Once you fill in all these details, your assets will be then shown in this portfolio dashboard, which is really one of the most powerful dashboards in the Crypkit, because it allows you to see what assets you have, in what amount, what's the price of the asset, and what's the total value of this holding. And also it will display you the relative percentage of your portfolio. Everything in Crypkit is multi-currency, so you could display it in any fiat and any crypto currency. So let's say I just click Bitcoin here. So this crypto value will be shown in Bitcoin. I can export it to a CSV or PDF. Let's say I want to see it in euros for some reason. I can do that. And one of the most powerful features here is also you can travel in time. So let's say you have to report your monthly NAV to your regulator, or you just want to see it. You click and Crypkit will fetch all the data real time. So this is really beautiful. You have everything under control, and yeah, say end of July, boom, and you can export it and send it directly as your NAV monthly reporting. Okay, so now I did my settings. I added all my assets. Now we said that assets should always equal investor deposits in the beginning. So I should go ahead and add some investors and their deposits. So let me click here on the fund on the left and go to clients. Clients are your investors in the fund. So here in this demo, I already have some investors with some deposits and current portfolio values. In your case, this will be empty when you start. So you just again go here to right and click add client. So let's say I will have Pippin invest in the Lord of the Rings fund, and this Pippin, I don't know, like Pippin funny, and I will create this Pippin investor. System will now add him to my list of investors. And there we go. There's Pippin. For some reason, I created him already twice. So here's Pippin. You can also delete it here conveniently if you make a mistake. Just delete that, and then you can add client again. And now if you want to add a deposit for Pippin, you click this eye icon here on the right. And here you can see all the details of this client. So Pippin, he made no deposits so far, so he has no participation shares in the fund. So I should just let him deposit now. So I click add transfer here on the right in the transfer section. So I do add transfer. It will be a standard deposit. You could also do management shares, meaning that you don't charge him fees, but usually your investors will be charged fees, so it's gonna be a standard deposit. Let's say Pippin sends me 50K euro, and let's say Gloom will be nice and will not charge any transaction fees on the coming funds. You could also charge him, say, 1% transaction fee on his deposit. And that's it. You hit create. And now you can see this deposit is showing up in here, and it is classified as pending, which is very important, and I will explain why. With other clients, this pending already disappeared because pending means that the system is waiting for the close of day valuations. So remember in the settings, just a moment ago, we set your time zone. Now, system is just waiting for midnight so that he can assign Pippin a certain number of participation shares he will own in your fund. So it will do valuations of your portfolios and it will give him a certain number of shares. And now this again depends whether you are doing series of shares accounting or a simple shares method, which I did a separate tutorial about, which you should watch if you have some questions. But let's say you understand a series of shares accounting, then basically it will assign a Pippin 50 shares at subscription price of 1,000, and it will be some series C or D or whatever. Let me also add one more transfer for Pippin. And let's say that this time he sends me Bitcoin. So let's say 10 Bitcoins. I just hit create. And again, this Bitcoin deposit will now be shown as pending. And there's another reason why this deposit is now pending, because system is waiting for midnight and the Bitcoin euro valuation rate to assign the euro value on this Bitcoin deposit. And based on the euro value by midnight, it will issue Pippin a certain amount of participation shares. This is, by the way, very convenient in your discussions with investors. Let's say, hey, it's Tuesday, your investor says, okay, I will send you 5 Bitcoin. And he will be like, so what rate are we gonna use? And he says, I send it 2 p.m. How do I know that you don't wait for the price to go down and then the deposit is smaller? So basically, he could be worried that you are going to game the rate used. And really the best system that the fund can use for this is you just tell Pippin, hey, don't worry, just send Bitcoin today and give me the transaction, and we will use the valuation rate at the close of day today. So basically, if you send me Bitcoin at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., it doesn't really matter. We will both wait for midnight rate, and then the system will just use the valuation rate at midnight and assign you the euro value at midnight, and that's it. You don't really need to be worried about the rate. Okay, excellent. So let's say we're now done with Pippin. And if this is your day one of your fund, you now want to, again, hit add client and insert your investor number 2. Here with the login email, you ideally set the real email of your investors. And once you hit create, the system will automatically send them the welcome email, and the email will say, hey, please log in this address, and you will be able to track your portfolio. So you again add the client, hit create, client will show up here, and eventually you will have all your investors here, and you should always go at the right to this eye icon. So let's say Arven. I can now inspect the details of Arven. So there are some personal details, And you can see that in January, Arwen made a deposit. She sent us synthetics tokens, and this was their euro value at midnight. And she received a series of shares. So subscription price was 1,000 euro. Her deposit value was something above 10,000. So she received 10.76 lead series shares. High water mark is still 1,000 because we didn't charge Arwen the fees yet. And that's it really. You will have all your clients here, and you can manage their deposits, withdrawals. I could also show you that you can also add referrers here. So let's say Pippin was referred by Aragorn or any other of your existing investors. So you just go to Pippin client details and go down here and add referrer. So let's say Aragorn, and I will click here add setting and say that Aragorn will now get 15% from the performance fees charged to Pippin. I will click add, and the system will now know that Aragorn referred Pippin, and every time there is a fee calculation in the fund, Aragorn will receive a part of your fees. So this you will see in the fees and referrers, which is a convenient dashboard for managing your fees. I will not go into details in here, but once you run your funds on Crypkit Fund product, you will find this very useful, same as the series of shares tab. So here you can see this is your overview of series of shares. And again, I've made a separate tutorial on this, so I will not go in detail here. Okay, I think we covered all the important aspects. So let me now come back to this presentation. So we said start early, fill in everything, do your settings, connect exchanges, wallets, manual entries, enter all investors and deposits, make sure deposits equal assets. So if you've done everything correctly, you will have a match between total value of deposits created and total value of assets tracked in your portfolio. It is essential that this is really correct before your first close of day to avoid all the issues, like if you forget something, then you will instantly have a mess from the day one. So this you want to avoid. I've just shown you how it looks and how you do it in the system. And just to sum up, make sure you add everything correctly on the day one. Keep the relevance of the time zone in mind, because this influences the timing for the close of day rates. Valuations, we recommend CoinGecko. And now you understand also what the pending deposit means. So if you enter deposit, it shows up as pending. Don't worry, it's all fine. The following day, the pending will disappear and it will be just the deposit. And I explained the relevance of the close of day valuations for the pending deposits. In the future of your fund, you want to be aware of this equation that deposits plus gains minus fees equals your assets. So on the first day of your fund, deposits equal assets because there are no gains and no fees charged. But this will basically live with you throughout the lifetime of your fund. So as long as you start with deposits equal assets on the day one, system will do everything correctly, everything will be automated. But this is also important to keep in mind every day when there is a new investor joining your fund. So let's say if they send you assets, but you forgot to write deposit, you would again have a mismatch like in here. So every time there's a new investor joining, you have to check two things. Number one, have I created deposit? And number two, are the new assets already tracked or manually entered in the portfolio? And again, this is super important that on the day when you filled the deposit, you also have the asset added. Otherwise, the system will think that you created a gain or a loss, and you are screwed again because of this equation. Deposits plus gains minus fees equal assets. So this is really the most important thing that you as a fund manager, that's the only thing you need to always keep in mind. If you have deposits or withdrawals, always make sure you amend both sides, left side and the right sides, investors' deposits and the assets. Always check that it is correctly reflected. Otherwise, you will have messed up data and you might have gains that are not there, and then you could even charge fees incorrectly. It would be an absolute nightmare. So please make sure you're aware of this. Speaking of the assets, there is a good chance that your fund will be involved in DeFi, and you should keep in mind what's your real assets. Is it your collateral or is it your borrowed coin? Let's say you lock Ethereum into Aave and borrow a stable coin. What's your asset in here? Definitely it's not both, right? Otherwise, you would suddenly create a big gain. So your asset will be the Ethereum locked as collateral, and the borrowed stablecoin, it's not really your asset. So keep that in mind. Similarly, if you're on Synthetics or other platform, there will be a debt to the pool. So make sure that you check that either everything is tracked correctly on Crypkit, or if you, for example, didn't claim your rewards or something, you can always adjust things by manual entries. This is also important if you send your assets in some DeFi platform that is not yet tracked by Crypkit. You should just enter manual entries on the full total of the assets. We are working hard every day to make sure all the DeFi platforms will be tracked by Crypkit, but if your platform is not yet automatically tracked, meaning you cannot see your assets, please create a manual entry and be in touch with us, and like we will let you know when this DeFi platform will be tracked automatically, and then you will eventually delete the manual entry and it will be tracked automatically from the wallet. Let me jump here again. Yeah, so your assets basically equal assets tracked automatically from the wallet, assets tracked automatically from the exchanges, and assets added manually in the manual entry. So again, here look in the Crypkit assets, the portfolio values consists of manual entries, exchanges, wallets, and the DEXs, and all these DeFi platforms. Okay. So series of shares method is recommended. Please watch my separate tutorial if you need to learn a little bit about this. And that's it. So once again, insert all data correctly and Crypkit will automate the rest, and you really will have no admin work. It's beautiful as long as you insert everything correctly. So thanks for your attention. I hope this was helpful to you. This was Pavel, co-founder of Crypkit. If you have any questions, please go to our website and let us know in the customer service window, or if you already have a Telegram group with me, Marta, just ask us there and we will address your issues. Thanks.